Hi everyone, in this video we are going to see how to create users, groups and projects. Once you have your GitLab running in Docker, it can then be accessed within your network. So currently I'm accessing GitLab from a Windows PC and you can see I'm on the sign in page of the GitLab. The default user is root and the password is going to be whatever you have reset when you tried accessing for the very first time the application, that is the GitLab. So let me try to log in here. So once I log in the home page, you can see that there is a warning that says open registration is enabled on your instance, right? So what does that mean? It means is if you have noticed during the login, let me show you in the sign in page, you can see that there is something that says don't have an account yet, register now. So anyone who knows about the URL of the application, they can register themselves. And this is what we don't do in real time, right? What we do is basically a user creates a request. They submit a request to the IT service team and the team then forwards that request to the admin team, and the admin team then creates the user. Okay, so we're going to follow the same path. So let's log in back again, and here I'm going to click on view settings, and you can see that it says sign up enabled. I'm going to disable this, that is uncheck it, and I'm going to save the changes. So you can see that I am currently in the admin area. Okay, so there are lots of options for the admin user, and what we're going to do is we are going to learn about these options whenever we are working on, we're trying to set up something at project level or at the trying to do some monitoring steps or analytics things. We are going to look at the admin area, but the primary focus is going to be of learning GitLab as a DevOps tool and also has a as a developer point of view, okay, and make sure that how we can use that use the GitLab as a for a code repository, and how do we trigger a build and create pipelines and all those things. But whenever there is an opportunity where we want to step in and look at the admin configuration, we will come back into admin area as a root user and try to do this configuration. Okay, but for now we are going to take step by step. Like first we'll go with few of the configurations in the admin area and then switch to our developer view, and then we are going to switch back again somewhere in the course wherever we need to do some configuration with respect to admin user. Okay, so for now let's go back to our topic, that is admin, that is sign up restrictions that we unchecked and disabled it. So let's try to make sure that the changes got reflected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign out, and you can see that the link is gone. Okay, so let's log in back, and what I'm going to do is so assume that that there is a request for the admin team to create a user. Okay, so what the admin team is going to do is it's going to go here in the settings again, and in the dashboard, in the overview, you can see there is an option called users, and here we currently have just one user, that is administrator. We can even edit this. Okay, if myself being an admin user, I can edit the username, which if I don't think that I don't want to be there, say root, I can update it and also give a different name, update the email ID. I can also change the password here, and all those things I can do it here. Okay, but I'll keep that as a default. So let's go back to the users and let's create some users here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 3 different users: one support user, 2 the developer user, and the third one is going to be the team lead user. Okay, So support user is going to have read-only access for the code repository, where the support user can just clone the code but cannot commit any changes. So that is what we are going to do with the support user. Whereas a developer user is going to have the check-in checkout, or you can say clone check-in checkout permission for the code repository. Whereas a team lead is going to have the permission to create a group project, and also all the permissions to create a pipeline, execute the pipeline. Okay, so all those permissions will be for the team lead. So let's start with the support user. So I'm going to click on new user here. I'm going to give the name as support, and then support user 1. And here, if you see the email ID, it says reset link will be generated and sent to the user. Okay, user will be forced to set the password on the first sign in. Now here, to receive this, you need to give a valid email ID. Okay, or you know, if you think that you don't want to give an email ID and all those things, you can you know, for temporary, you can enable the register now link and register a couple of users over there, and then in the admin section we can approve those requests. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow both the path. Okay, let's first create a user with admin area, and the developer user we are going to create using the register now option. So here in the email, I'm going to give I'm giving here a dummy email ID, but in your case it's going to be a valid email ID. Okay, so here I'm going to say it as support user@gmail.com. okay, and then I'm going to have the access as regular, and I don't want to give the create group permission for the support user. Okay, so I'll uncheck this and I'll keep this as is. I don't want external users cannot see internal or private projects, so I'm going to keep it as unchecked. And if you want, you can keep all this as is, or you can just add any of the options if you want to, and that's it. I'll just create the user. Okay, so here it says verified, so let's see later how to verify this user. But for now, let's go ahead and create a user through our register link. So here I'm going to go back in the settings, and in signing restrictions, I'm going to enable this back here and save the changes. Okay, and what I'm going to do is before I sign out and then register, I can go ahead and create another user, and I would say that it has a developer user. Create, and I'm going to say it as developer user, and the email ID I'm going to give this as okay, and I'm going to keep this as regular, and this user cannot create the group, similar to what we have for the support, but when it comes to projects assigning and all those, we will change the permissions for developer as well as for the support. But here I'm not going to give the admin, not even the create group option for the developer. The rest everything is going to be same, and I'm going to create the user. Okay, so the last one is the team lead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sign out here and register. The first name is going to be team lead user, and I'm going to choose any random password here. Okay, I would say register. Perfect. So let's try to now you have signed up successfully. However, we could not sign you in because your account is awaiting approval from your GitLab administrator. So if I try to access, okay, with the registered user, I won't be able to, till the root user, that is the admin user, go and get approve the user account that was just registered. Okay, so for that, let's log in back with admin user, and here if we go over to the dashboard, let's see, and here it says admin. I have developer user. Okay, let's see the other user. Okay, if I look at here, there is a pending approval, and you can see that there is a pending approval is for the team lead. So if I click on this, and if I say approve user, and I would say yes. So now the user is successfully approved. Now if I go to the admin area users, you can see that I have all the 3 users now: team lead, developer, and support. So let's try to log out and try to access the application with all the 3 users. Okay, sign out, and I'm first going to sign in with team lead. Yeah, I hope it was team lead user. Yes. Okay, okay, so it says yes, welcome to the GitLab team, and it says your role is software developer, or I can say development team lead. Okay, and get started, and I am in the home page. Now you can see that the welcome page is a little different than the admin user, right? You don't have all few of the options that the admin user had. Okay, so we'll come back to this again, but for now, let's sign out and try to access as a developer and the support and see what are the options that they see. For now, you can see that the team lead has create project and create group option. Let's see what we see for the developer and for the support. I'm going to log in with support user, and I didn't receive any emails. I'm not sure about the password, so I have to go back and give a valid email ID and then register that user. Means as I said, before, when I was creating the user, that there should be a valid email ID, and a password reset link will be sent to that email ID, and there is where you can get your credentials validated. So in our case, what I did is, I just gave a dummy email ID, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to correct that and then verify it. Okay, so I'm going to do that offline, but in your case, you can give that email ID, valid email ID, and register both the users. Okay, so for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and do that offline, and then come back here and we'll go from there. Okay, I was able to successfully verify the support user 1. Now, when doing that, I also figured out a workaround. Instead of you giving valid email IDs and then doing all this password reset and everything, there is another way of doing it, because this is all about learning, and we don't want to do all those long process. What we can do is we can log in through root user, and here in the user section, if you see here in the users, you can click on the user that you want to set the credentials, and you can click on edit and then enter the password. Okay, and then save changes. So these credentials then now needs to be shared with the developer one user. So let me log out, and here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say developer user one, and let's see, it says invalid user. So did I give the same? Okay, it's developer user. Okay, okay, I guess I am fat fingering something, or I need to check the password. Let's go back again as the root user and try to reset the password. For the users here in the developer, what I'm going to do is again okay, now let's save the changes. Okay, now I'm going to sign out. Am I using, okay, let's confirm the username. Okay, one more time. The username is okay, it's not developer user one, it is basically the developer user. Okay, so that's what I was doing wrong. Okay, here is the developer user. Okay, if I sign in, and you can see that it's asking to reset the password. So let me reset the password. Okay, set the new password. Now the password is successfully changed. Now let me log back in with the developer user. If I sign in, and you can see that I am in the welcome page of the GitLab, and you can see that I don't have the option to create a group, but I do have an option to create a project and explore public projects. Okay, and the same thing with even support user. So let's try to even log in with that. I think for the support user, I created with name support user one. Yes, so the same view as what we have for the developer. So this is all about how to create users. Okay, and it's mostly with the admin user who manages the user account. So the next what we are going to look at is how to create groups. Okay, and basically what is group? Group is nothing but you can have all the projects related to a particular domain in a group. Okay, for example, if in a project you have a finance domain, okay, and in finance domain then you have all the projects related to that particular domain. You can group it together and put it under a single group. And the same way, if you have another domain like marketing, okay, then you can have all the projects related to marketing inside that group. Okay, so that's what a group at a very high level means, where you can have a set of projects assigned into that particular group. Okay, so for team lead user that we created, it has the create group permission. So we're going to log in with team lead user. And now here I'm going to create the group. I'm going to name this as I would say, let's call this as GitLab demo group. Okay, and I'm going to keep this group, and its project can only be viewed by members. Yes, I want to have whoever is having access to the GitLab okay, cannot see this. I'm giving a private permission. That means only the users who has access to this group will be able to see the related projects or the group, whatever we are going to create. Okay, so I hope you're getting. So private means the users who are assigned to this group will be only able to see this. Okay, and rest of the world is not going to see it. And internal, that means any user, okay, who is logged into the GitLab will be able to see this group. Okay, and public means it is available to anyone, whether the user is authenticated or not, will be able to see this group. Okay, so that's what it means with private, internal, public. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep this group as private, and let's create a group. Perfect. So now the group is created. So next step, what I'm going to do is I am going to create a project, a very simple project. And you can see that we can also create a subgroup. Okay, if you think that you want to create a subgroup within a group, you can create, and you can keep on creating subgroups. Okay, it depends on the requirement. So here I'm going to say here is let's see, new project. Okay, and I'm going to create here, let's create it a blank project, and I'm going to name this as GitLab demo. Okay, and I'm going to keep this again as private, and I'm going to initialize the repository with a readme, create a project. Perfect. So now you have a project created within a group. So now currently no one is having access to this. That means I have not assigned any members to this group or this project. Okay, and you can see that it also has a warning that says you won't be able to pull or push repositories via SSH until you add SSH key to your profile. We're going to look at this when we really try to do some pull or push configuration. We don't want to do everything at in all this setting up of SSH and everything in the same video. We're going to do that whenever we are working on it. Okay, so for now, what we have done is we have created the group and added a project to it. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to add members to this group. So one thing to remember is if you add a member to the project, so that means by default the user will also have access to the group. Okay, so if you look at here, we have in the menu we have an option called members, and here is where we can add the member. Okay, we can add the member through email ID or the username, or you can also invite a group. If there is a group, you can add the group itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a member here, and when you click on it, it will show you all the available users. So I'm going to add the developer, and the role here I'm going to choose for the developer is going to be developer here. And the expiration date, you can also tell that, okay, what date the developer gets, the access gets revoked. That is where you can add here. And I'm going to keep it as blank. That means forever the user is going to have the access, and I would say invite. Okay, so it says user were successfully added. The next one I'm going to do is I'm going to add the support user, and I'm going to give this as reporter, and I'm going to click on invite. So now the user, developer, and support has access to the project. And if you go here back to the GitLab, and you can see the members, the GitLab member is the group has just team lead, and again we can add here. If you add the group member, okay, at the group level, so all the projects within that group will be accessed or will be visible to all the users that you have added here. Okay, for example, if then you don't need to go add for the particular project. So in previous case, what we did is we added users at the project level. Okay, so assume that if you have a group, okay, and you have multiple projects within it, so you can restrict a user to have access to at a particular project rather than having access to all the projects within the group. Okay, we did that in our when we assigned a group a user to the project, okay, a specific project. But if you think that you want to grant access to the user at a group level and all the projects within that group, then we can directly assign the user here at the group level. So if I assign here developer and I say I choose the role and say invite. Now user is by default, the developer is going to have access to all the projects within this group. Okay, the same thing for the support. I'm going to say reporter and say invite. That's it. Now user is going to have support user is going to have access to all the projects within the GitLab demo group. So I think now you're clear with how to create the group and how to create the project. So let's try to sign out and log in with the developer role and see what the user has in the welcome page. So I'm going to log in with the developer, and now you can see that by default it is going to see the project which it has access to. And if it clicks on, if I click on the GitLab demo, I can see the project. Now here is where you can start adding your files and all the source code, okay, by doing the clone, by using SSH or HTTP. You can pull the code and start working on it, and then once it's done, you can again push the code to your repository. So I hope it's clear how to create the user, how to create a group, how to create a project and assign user to the group level as well as at the project level. Okay, one more thing we are going to do here is now we are going to sign out and we're going to remove this register now link. But I think you already know how to do that, right? You can just again log in as an admin and go to view settings, uncheck the sign up enabled option and save changes, and that's done. Now you won't be able to see the register now link in the sign in page. With this, I guess we covered all the three options of creating users, groups, and projects. That's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next. Till then, take care. Thank you.